Slivers. Introduced in the Tempest block, and inspired by the alpha card Plague Rats, Slivers are a subtype that originally read something along the lines of, "This sliver has X, all slivers gain X," and later was changed to, "All your slivers gain X," a change I wasn't personally a fan of. This ability was a representation of the sliver hive mind, in which any sliver with an ability provides it to the entire hive, the perfect manifestation of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Recently, a friend of mine asked me to help him make a sliver deck, because they were going to be returning again in Modern Horizons. So naturally I look up every sliver card ever made so that I know what I have to work with. And in doing so, I also started looking up some of the lore of these creatures, and I find it to be very interesting. The most interesting thing I think is that we have actually never seen the sliver's home plane. They were discovered by the Phyrexian Evankar, Volrath, but the name of the plane he found them on has never been mentioned. Volrath was a shapeshifter, and because of this he was fascinated by the sliver's transforming physiology. They were almost like fellow shapeshifters despite not actually having the shapeshifter subtype. He took the Sliver Queen from this unnamed plane and brought her and her brood to the artificial plane of Wrath, specifically the Furnace of Wrath, to study them further. The metallic slivers are his creation, his attempt to create artificial slivers, and though they provide nothing to the hive, they do gain all the benefits of the sliver hive mind. The slivers fought the crew of the Weatherlight while they were on Wrath. During Stark's tale in the anthology Wrath and Storm, the crew is able to realize that the slivers share abilities with one another, but that there is a distance limit. Now I don't know what the exact dimensions of the Weatherlight's deck is, but it was big enough for the crew to split up and for multiple groups of slivers to suddenly be out of range of their hive mind's effects. While this has no bearing on the card game, it does mean that in the story, slivers do have a rather large weakness, though hard to exploit. The story for the slivers takes an unfortunate turn for the worse during the Wrathy overlay, where they are transported into Urborg. This is where many, including the Sliver Queen, die in the heart of a volcano. The slivers can't really think for themselves, so without their queen, they basically all die out. 100 years later, a group of wizards who never watched Jurassic Park start the Riptide Project. They use sliver fossils to bring back the slivers from extinction, but they had no way of knowing the importance of the Sliver Queen. It's possible that she molds their minds as they mature, because without her the slivers go crazy and run rampant over the entire island. I like to think this story could have been somewhat of an influence on a similar one from the Mass Effect series of video games. A egg was found containing the queen of the extinct Rachni aliens. Scientists hatch her, take her children to try and create a workforce, but without her they go nuts, escape, and start murdering everyone. During this time, the Mirari was on Dominaria, and the magical waves it emitted accelerated the slivers' growth, but also drew them to the mainland because they mistook it for the call of their queen. During the battle at Sanctum, the magical blast that created Corona, a manifestation of the mana of Dominaria, most of the slivers were killed, but several of the survivors were fused together to form the Sliver Overlord. I couldn't find anything about what happened to the Sliver Overlord, though I saw mention that when Corona was undone, that it probably split apart back into the original slivers that composed it. But I suppose it's possible that it could actually still be alive somewhere with its own hive. Just a fun theory that we could possibly see in the future. Now, as I understand it, because of Corona, Dominaria was basically drained of mana. I haven't actually read the story involving her, but I look forward to getting to it. Without mana, most species struggled, but the slivers thrived. They continued to multiply and even mutate. This is what I find to be the most interesting about the slivers, and it kind of suggests how the different slivers develop their special abilities they share with the hive. These new slivers began to mimic the abilities of other creatures. The vampiric sliver fed on its prey to gain strength, like the Singear vampire. The gemhide sliver could create mana of any color it needed, like the birds of paradise. I actually think that would have given an insane advantage to the slivers during a time that Dominaria had basically no mana. It sounds surprising that they don't overrun the entire plane during this time. Basal slivers would sacrifice themselves to provide for the hive, just like the Basal thralls were sacrificed by the Ebon Hand. A breed of sliver even developed the shadow ability, trapping it between worlds. This was likely a result of the effects of the Wrathy overlay instead of another creature, though. Without a central head of the hive mind, the Slivers have been known to be controlled. Planeswalkers, such as Freyalise and Lord Windgrace, are known to have done so. The Hive Stone is an artifact that's supposedly been used to control the Sliver Hive and its queen on Wrath, but the effect of the card doesn't really seem to lean towards that in my opinion. Theoretically, it's possible that the Sliver is originally from Alara. The first Slivers Chosen, and Dregscape Sliver possess the abilities Cascade, Exalted, and Unearth respectively. These are keywords from the Alara block, and Dregscape is a location on Alara, so it's not too far-fetched a theory, though it hasn't been confirmed as of yet that I know of. Personally, I hope the Slivers aren't from Alara. With the strength of the Slivers, I don't think it would be too unbelievable that with a central leadership, the Hive could dominate an entire world. I don't know if the Sliver Queen was actually the Sliver Queen, or simply a Sliver Queen. If there was the possibility of another, it could be thriving on their home plane. Imagine a group of planeswalkers arriving there. It would be like the Marines in Alien 2.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
And when you consider that the Slivers appear to adopt pre-existing abilities from beings they encounter, imagine if one encountered a planeswalker for a long enough period of time. Could it develop its own ability to travel between planes? Imagine an entire hive of Slivers just suddenly appearing on any plane. That would be quite the apocalypse, I'm sure, especially for those who had encountered nothing like this before. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe. I'm hoping to make more lore videos like this in the future. I keep looking down. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends. I'm hoping to make more videos like this in the future. I just recently started getting back into Magic the Gathering, and its lore has always been one of my favorite parts. So I look forward to doing more research and hopefully making more videos. Have a nice day.